All right, wholeness, welcome in. I hope all is well with y'all. This is very sporadic, so there's no plan. I just really felt like I needed to get on YouTube. So here we are. If you are new here, I go by the name Nefersoul. I make crystal jewelry, I do oracle readings, energy healing, and just so much more. I have my meditation ebook that is out on my website and all platforms. So definitely check that out. As well as I have a shadow work journal that's available on Amazon. So you can head to my website in order to get to all of those things. And yeah, so let's get into it. So I really felt that I don't know, there was just this discussion that was on my mind, and we're gonna talk about it as well as I'm going to eat watermelon while I do it. Also, I'm also live on TikTok as well. So if y'all see me, and I'm also live on YouTube. So if y'all see me hitting one of those, it's because I'm trying to check out both aspects. Um, but yeah, um, let's get into it. First, I think I'm gonna eat some watermelon. So yeah, that's how we start off. And we vegan plant based over here, so you be alright. But for those of y'all that are in the chat, let me know how y'all feeling, how y'all vibrating. But yes, today's topic is miracles because it's been something that I've really just been trying to understand in many different ways. And sorry if the lighting is weird because I'm like sitting by the window because it looks good from my phone, but over here it's like a irrelevant. Anyway, yeah, the topic of miracles has just been something that I've been thinking a lot about because I feel like we all go through moments and points in our lives where things just fall together and fall into place out of nowhere after going through some sort of like hardship. And I've been trying to understand like what is that? Like is it just your belief system? Is it something to do with like the universe just coming into alignment? Like what is that, right? So I don't know, after some thought, I'm kind of just like it all kind of just feels like it comes down to your belief system. Because I feel like the universe is always trying to give us opportunities. So even though it can be that, it's also like most of it being you because you're the grand source creator of your reality, right? So I say all of that to say the thing that I'm noticing really plays a role or an effect in how we're creating tends to have a big relation to how we believe and what we believe in that time, in that moment. And the reason why I think that that's the piece to the miracles that falls into place for us at random or by design, however you want to perceive it, or situationally, however it played out for you. Something that I felt was always common was the moments that I've had the biggest miracles or just random things fall into place were always in moments where I've completely surrendered and let go and just completely trusted. Like I didn't have any doubt, I didn't have any pieces or points in my emotional body that would reject or go against that belief system. Like I completely surrendered to the universe. I completely surrendered to mainly myself and my ability to have the universe and things show up for me, regardless of what I was experiencing in my external reality. And I feel like that's where we kind of come back to, right? Where the external reality is just a fragment of our imagination. It's not the totality of our experience. Therefore, why do we put so much emphasis, energy, and attachment into the external world when that is constantly shifting based on how we believe, how we feel, how we create, right? We're in a simulation, right? So we shouldn't pay too much mind or attention or intention into our external world at that point, right? Um, Let me read what you're talking about over here. Articulates from vibrations like a grid, allow the pieces to fall in place. Exactly. So it's like, I think when we all try to figure out what's the best method of manifestation, even when people talk about delusion, right? Speak it before you believe it. Even that, I feel, has actually nothing to do with the thought, but just the programming that you're creating. Because what you're actually doing is affirming it through delusion, right? But it's not the fake it till you make it that makes it happen. It's the repetition. You're constantly recreating that thought process to reprogram the program that you already had. So the delusion really just is a tool or a trick, but it's not the fact that you're actually pretending, it's the fact that you're reprogramming. And I think that's why delusion manifestation tends to work in a lot of cases, but why it's not always the case. Because what it really comes down to is how well can you reprogram your programming? How well can you realign yourself to the program of which you're trying to create a solution to a problem, which is a lot of the cases why we are here experiencing, right? We're trying to create solutions to whether it's energetic, spiritual, emotional problems that we've created while simultaneously having the ability to experience life, wholeness, nature, source, which would be a reflection of happiness and gratitude and fun, or however you want to look at it, right? So it all kind of still comes down to like, I'm still here though to work through things. So the manifestation power really comes from your ability to change your programming and not really what method, how many times you write it down, or writing something down on a piece of paper and flushing it like that. Those are all, because I guess technically all of it is illusions or delusions that we create, when in actuality we're just computers, and it's really just how well do you believe in the program that you've created so that you can recreate the programming and how it operates in your system. A test every time when a wall is presented to us. Exactly. Like, then you deal with firewalls, you deal with obstacles, right? And it's like, with like the walls, the firewalls brings you the traumas, it brings you the blockages, it brings you the programming that you might have that does not resonate with that wall to allow you to pass through. And if you're just joining, this is just a random conversation that I decided I wanted to talk about on YouTube, which I'm also streaming on, which the topic is miracles. Um, because yeah, I don't know, I just felt like it was something that I wanted to talk about while y'all watch me eat a watermelon. If you are just joining my TikTok live, welcome in. We have to experience and recreate what we've learned. Yeah, I feel like that's majority of what this experience is here. And when we fight against that, I feel like that's when we really create the blockages and the depression, the scarcity mindsets and stuff like that, because then we are relinquishing our power basically to a program that we created to help us elevate. But because we're focused on personal gain, we tend to let the program make us feel defeated when in actuality it's set up and designed to help us grow, expand, experience, and even enjoy. Just as much as you're not enjoying, it's also still set up to enjoy. And so, like, this experience is just so powerful because when you stop looking at it as such a third dimensional perspective and you start looking at it as what it's meant to be, which is a spiritual human experience, and that all the technicalities don't really matter, but because we place value in it, that kind of shifts the way the program operates. So, kind of like, again, a computer, depending on how many things you store in it, it can slow down its processing power. So that's kind of like what we're doing when we overly focus on this experience either being a completely spiritual experience or it being a completely human experience, and then making it making everything a bigger deal than it needs to be now because we're putting too much emphasis on one perspective when this reality is about full perspective. The minute you start narrowing down your perspective is the more you start to narrow down your ability to enjoy the experience and utilize this experience for what it's for, which is to help reprogram the program because it's a source experiencing itself. So we're all source within our own omniverse of source. It's just source within source within source within source. So it's like even the bad things is source. And I feel like once we release that connection, that's when we start to make things feel detrimental. Like we start to make these emotional responses take over our lives because we remove the concept that sources in everything when bad things happen, but we accept sources in everything when good things happen. But source is all things. So the bad things is still source. So why not accept them more and feel happier about bad things, because it's only us that really gave good and bad a label of how the emotional response is supposed to be. But you can honestly have good responses to bad things because sometimes bad things are, or a lot of the times bad things is just redirection. So you should actually praise bad things because it's source. So to me it's kind of like redundant when we again praise good things but feel sad when bad things happen, when it's all neither. The emotional reaction that we should have is more so to guide us to what needs to be reprogrammed, but it's not supposed to be actual emotions that we fall deeper into just because. which I think is so powerful because, like, we are the ones that can either give ourselves limitation or unlimited possibility. This watermelon is so good. And I think I'm gonna get into a reading at some point. But so back to the belief system. I feel like a lot of the times what we tend to do is overutilize illusion and delusion in our experience here, because we've become so surface level with ourselves that we don't even realize that when we don't believe in something, we think that the only not only but we think one of the ways to just change that or fix that is to just change our minds. When changing your mind, yeah, you can have a thought about it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you actually changed your mind. You may be able to alter your thoughts, but you aren't necessarily reprogramming the actual thought process. And I think that's where we kind of fall short within ourselves, where it's like we think reprogramming is so much simpler than what we give it credit for. So we think all these little things are strong enough and good enough to just switch our vibration, switch our perspective, when in actuality it takes so much more than that. Like, you have to really put work in with yourself to actually shift the program. And within that, it's kind of like, especially in these times, like, we're really learning the the truth of what surface level living and healing really is, because we've been living in such an illusion that we don't realize that we're only healing on the surface level. So then when we think we're changing our program and changing our mental space and emotional space, there's still so many layers to it that when something else happens, we get triggered again, and then we're like, oh my god, I thought I fixed this. And it's like, you fixed a part of it, but there's still so much more to it that you may not realize. And that's okay, because the way that the sleep age works, like, you're not going to know everything and realize everything, like, because you're essentially asleep. But as we start to move into the awakened age, things get easier, the perspectives get easier, the downloads get deeper, and the changes in the programming become a lot easier to access the deeper aspects of it, because you're not dealing with as much challenge energetically, socially, emotionally, spiritually, and you're able to actually get to the point, um, which is going beyond the surface level, right? So when it comes to the belief system now, we may not realize how surface level we're being, because we genuinely mean what we're doing, what we're saying, the action that we're giving it. We're actually sitting down and meditating, we're reading the books, we're actively uh, working through ourselves psychologically, we're doing all these different things. But where we fall short is that the deeper you need to go, the deeper, or I should say, the more expansive the energy needs to be in order to match the vibration of the depth of that reality. Because what you're really doing is you're shifting realities. Thoughts aren't so simple, it's really different dimensions that exist within your programming. So I think that plays another role in why we're able to work so much at the surface level and think that we're going deeper when we're really not. Is because different levels of us holds different vibrational frequencies. So sometimes meditating might not be enough to go deep. Sometimes you need to work on the program maybe 5 times to keep shifting your frequency and keep shifting your perspective and expanding your energy to now bring yourself to a vibrational match to where you're actually able now to release that frequency and shift that program now, as well as repetition. You can't just change something from thinking about it one time or sitting and doing shadow work about it one time. Everything has layers. So, and we haven't even talked about generational information yet. We haven't talked about past life and parallel life information either. So we only look at these things on one level, which is a third dimensional level, and we think, oh well, if this happened to me and this is triggering me here in this moment, this must be the root of this the root of this problem, without looking at the generational traumas related and branched off from that, as well as like the past life ones, the parallel lives, the other multi-dimensional experiences that you've had. We're not considering that into the shadow work. A lot of people think they are, but they're really not. And I feel like that's why we have some trouble with dealing with the layers and being able to go into the depth of these reprogrammings and again being able to actually create miracles now. Miracles can mean so much more than just abundance, but like say if you've had a trauma that you've been trying for the last 20 years to heal, but no matter what you did, you can't get past it. That shift of frequency when you actually finally are able to do that would be a miracle. Because you finally shift, you finally shifted, you finally hit the nail on the head to be able to actually, again, release the old programming and step into the new. Man, it's watermelon. So when it comes to the belief system now, right? We would say we believe something. Like people would say, I know I can make $100 today. I believe I can make $100 today. And you think just because I affirmed it, I utilized intention, I put everything I had into it, that that means they believe it, that now they're gonna create it. But do you actually believe it, or are you just saying that because you think if you affirmed it, it makes it real to you? Yes, these affirmations, yes, they still bring us into the frequency, but we may not maintain it. And I think that's where we kind of also get lost in translation, where it's like we think just affirming something once is enough to change our programming, enough to make it create into our reality, enough to shift things, right? But where is the actual change or application to your belief system to where you're like, I know that I've created X, Y, and Z lanes for that $100 to come to me. So I already have the $100 because I've already created so much abundance for myself that abundance is just naturally a part of my life at this point. That I don't even need to put a number on it because I know everything that I need is always taken care of and overflow. because I've done the work. I'm constantly doing everything that I need to do in order to create a flow of abundance for me by doing my shadow work, by having accountability to when I discover my surface level healing and surface level analogies and perspectives that I try to delusion myself into thinking that I'm doing what I need to be doing when in actuality I'm not. So it's like, it's more important for you to actually believe the things that you say and not have to trick yourself into it by just affirming it, because surface level things create surface level results. And again, I'm not saying that these things aren't powerful, because they are. Affirmations are absolutely powerful, and I recommend it 10 out of 10 to everyone, because not because it's the words itself, but because it's the constant repetition of you saying something over and over again will eventually reprogram your programming, because words are spells. But we also have to understand that words in this dimension have many meanings. So that can also be why it's difficult to utilize affirmations and thoughts to shift your programming, because word choice is very important. And again, English words have multiple meanings. So this is why it always comes down to the belief system, the emotional space, the heart chakra. Because emotions does not need words in order to know, experience, or utilize an understanding. It just is, right? Emotions just are. And then it's the mind, it's the spirit that kind of reacts to the emotions as they go, as they come. So when we don't work on our heart chakras and we don't understand that the heart chakra is actually the foundation to creating prosperity, abundance, miracles in our lives, we tend to put all that energy into the root chakra, survival mode. I'm going to do all these things and be on the grind and create all these things and never rest, never play, never enjoy life because I'm in survival mode. Or whether you're in your head, you will think yourself into every situation like, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. If I don't do this, this will happen. And if I don't do that, that'll happen. But it's like, things are gonna happen regardless. But you overthinking about it is only going to disperse your energy into so many different places that now you no longer have the vibration in your heart space to create it. And then we've had so many references to confirm that the heart space is the actual portal that we utilize the most in order to create. We utilize the lower chakras to anchor it down onto this plane, but it's truly the heart chakra that kind of allows the passageway for those manifestations to come down from the ethers down into this realm. Because your heart chakra is the biggest electromagnetic field that the body has, making it the biggest magnet that exists in the human body, which means what your heart feels, 9 out of 10 is what you're manifesting into your life, because it's your magnetic field. It's your Taurus field. So whether we use as above or so below, it all still needs to pass through the heart space. And I feel like that's really why, even in Cometicism, why Ma'at holds such a big role in our experience and just the story of life and what the value is on how you utilize your heart space in your lifetime. Because if you really think about it, right, when you transition and you go down into the underworld, into the darkness, back into the womb energy, right, you are then led by Anubis to Ma'at. You are led through the valley of darkness and nothingness and everything all at once to go weigh your heart on a scale of Ma'at, right? And the way that it goes is if your heart is as light or lighter than the feather, that means you did what you needed to do in your lifetime. That you've accomplished the healing, the releasing, the perspective, the shifts, the whatever you want to call it, that you've done enough that your heart chakra is light enough to allow you passage into the next reincarnation. And ever since I've learned about that, it's always made me value the emotional body and the heart space more than anything else. And it honestly just made the most sense, because even when you look at this reality, yeah, there's the ocean that's bigger than all the land put together here. But when you go even in the water or certain areas of water, the water is actually green. All the algae is green. A lot of the plants are green. And then when you come onto the land, everything is green, right? Even Egyptians, they, before the color blue even existed, because that's another thing there, right? Technically, blue did not always exist. That was not a vibrational color that people can see, because colors hold different vibrational frequencies, and based upon your genetic makeup determines what colors you see in your reality. This is why bugs and animals all have different eye shapes, different, you know, components set up in their eyes, which allows them to see different frequencies, different layers of light. So depending on your genetic makeup, you see different forms of colors. Egyptians saw the water and the sky as green. They didn't see it as blue. So even back then, everything is green. So to me, the most important thing in this reality is the heart space, the emotional body. And depending on how you perceive the world on an emotional scale plays the biggest role in your ability to create your reality. Because your mind, you can do so much to your mind, but if your heart isn't in it, you're not going to do it. So now let's come back again. So now if you're trying to create miracles in your life and you're using your mind and not your heart, how would you bring it into your reality when the heart is the biggest electric magnetic field that you have in your vessel? It's not the mind. Yes, the mind is capable of many different things. Like even when you transition, the brain is still functioning. So I'm not saying that the brain doesn't hold power and, you know, meaning, but it always comes back to that heart space. So when we are trying to create these miracles, we always try to create them from a mindset. We always try to create it from a thought process, from a plan of the mind, not realizing that love and emotions has always been the strongest component that we have in this whole reality. And we've seen so many examples of that in many different cases, like when there's moms who've picked up cars because a baby was under it, right? That was not her mind, that was her heart space. Her heart completely surrendered to, I need to save this baby. And miracle, now all of a sudden she could lift a car. But on a day-to-day scale, this woman cannot lift a car. So, and even when we think about like lions and what we're taught about the lion, it's always about the heart of gold and the strength is in the heart. Like all of these different things always leads back to the heart space. And even when you connect with like different deities, different beings, different elementals, like when you connect with them, I promise you, like, the energies that you feel usually, like when you don't have fear involved and you're able to be on the same frequency with them, all you feel is unconditional love. You feel so much love. And that's always like one of the main things that you pick up on. Like, it's different if you're trying to do a reading and somebody's trying to get messages. Like, that might not be what you feel because you're feeling what that person needs or whatnot. But it's always given powerful, unconditional love frequencies that makes you just want to explode from how much you feel at ease, in love, in like bask in love, and just feeling that womb energy. I don't know how else to describe it, but and so when you're saying, when you're affirming things are going to happen for you, but you don't believe it, like you don't have full, complete surrender in it, it kind of makes things a little hard for you to actually bring it into your reality now, because you're weighing these things on your scale of Ma'at, and the heart keep weighing more than the feather. So then your universe is going to look at it like, oh no, this is not it. This is not it. Like, this is not what we're trying to bring here. Like, we're either not ready for this, we have some blockage, we have something, right? So then it's not going to create. When your heart isn't in something, it makes it difficult to create it. So it's like we need to start placing more value in our emotional body and like how we feel about things. We need to take more accountability for how we feel about things and stop trying to just put a band-aid on these things, because it's so important, it's so crucial to us to actually mean what we say. And that comes from the heart, that's not from the mind. So the way that we create miracles, the way that we make things happen for us is we heal. We heal the things that hurt us, we heal the things that make us feel unworthy, that make us feel alone, that makes us feel unhappy, the things that makes us mad, sad, triggered. We release them, we heal them, we bring love to it, we bring understanding to it, we surrender. We surrender to the state of flow, we surrender to source, and we stop trying to fight the tide. We stop trying to understand everything and overstand everything and understand everything. We just start to accept that, hey, this is me, this is what I'm experiencing, this is what it is, and that's it. I don't know how to not make this look so bright because the sun is setting on the side. But okay, maybe I can do that. And I feel like when we come here with amnesia, that's kind of what really tests us on how much we can bring ourselves back to our truth, our core, without the layers of the trauma, without the generational curses, without the generational information that does not vibrate out of unconditional love. And unconditional love, like I said, there's no labels to anything. You can do things that seems like harm to somebody out of unconditional love. So, we tread that lightly because they can mean so many different things. But we utilize the amnesia because it allows us to really get to the core of what belief system we've created for ourselves. We get to the nitty gritty of like, this is what I've been carrying for X amount of years or X amount of past lives. Like, we are discovering in its purest of form when we do not have all of the information. And that's why it makes so much sense why Earth being a school has to be on one of the lower dimensions, because when you're at your lowest, that's when you really learn who you are. That's when you really learn what you are passionate about. You really learn what you care about. You really learn about what you value. And you start to really learn what everything that you're just not. Let's just put it that way. Like, when you have everything, you, as much as you think you won't, you really actually don't give yourself the time of day anymore, because everything appears to be easy. So you may not do your shadow work anymore. You may not try to figure out your triggers, because you're always like, well, I can just go figure out something else to fix the situation. So it's like you tend to release your ability to actually experience. So I feel like the amnesia really puts that test on us. Like, our higher selves, our every aspect of ourselves know what the results are supposed to be from this experience, but everything in between does not. And again, it's all for the purpose of, how else are you going to learn your do's and don'ts if you don't know what you want to do and what you don't want to do? But when we get too emotionally involved, when the heart space isn't balanced, it sways us. It sways our belief system. It sways our mental system and everything else that, again, can either make or break our experience. Then we start to place value. We start to create scenarios for ourselves that, if things don't happen this way, then I'm not doing what I need to do. And then you fall into this endless cycle, this endless pit of like, everything's against me. And then you give your power away, because then now you're no longer accepting that this is for a reason, this is for a purpose, and I'm going to enjoy every moment of it. You start to fall into this like, if it's not happening my way and the way I want it to happen, then I don't feel the miracles anymore. I don't connect with the energy anymore. And then you start to feed more and more into that, bringing yourself further and further away from your miracles. But thankfully, because of the way that this universe works, I feel like the universe is going to still keep giving you ways to get back to your miracles, to get back to your shifts, to get back to your healing, because that's what we're here for. So that's why the programs are set in place the way that it is, because we're here for a reason. We're not here just to, again, like, just have all this fun and do all these things and not do something about our energetic signature, not do something about our spiritual frequency, our emotional frequency. All of this is not a test, but just a school. We are here, honestly, just for experience too, not even just the schooling, but like, but the schooling aspect really plays such a huge role in the courses, I should say, that we go through. Like, different phases of life is different courses that we are experiencing in order to lighten our heart, to open our perspective, to shift our emotional frequency, to lighten the heart, to reprogram the programming. Because again, we're really just source experiencing itself. So as much as all of this matters, it doesn't. As much as we think everything is defined as good and bad, it isn't. One thing I've learned about source, everything just is. And depending on what being you are, what level of frequency you're on, what perspective you have, and what belief system you have, that literally molds and creates your reality based on the simulation that you create on a day-to-day basis. So If you want to create miracles in your life, you have to shift the programs that's within you. Therefore, you have to surrender to the program of a system we call life on planet Earth, on planet Kai. And it's a beautiful journey when you learn to let go. So, all right, y'all. I think I'm going to move into the reading point of this live. Um, if you are new here, if you're just joining, um, I make crystal jewelry, I do readings, I do energy healings. I have my meditation ebook that you can grab on my website. Everything's available on my website. Um, so definitely tune in with me if y'all would like to donate. The information will be in the descriptions. If you're on my YouTube, I'm going to pin it at the bottom. But if you're on TikTok, all you gotta do is hit the link in my bio to check out my website and all the different things that are offered. Yes, I did write a book, y'all, A Journey Through Meditation, and I break down meditation in a way that nobody likes to talk about. I feel like so many people hide so much information about meditation that it doesn't really allow people to utilize it the way that they should be able to. So definitely go grab the ebook. Um, It's available on all platforms, but definitely get it through my website if you can. And give me 1 second on TikTok. Just gotta do something really quickly. Alright, my bad, y'all. But the ebook is $25.55. And I will eventually be able to put out physical copies. So definitely be on the lookout for that. It isn't an audio, but once I'm in a space where I can quietly record, I will make an audio for it. If you would like to get a reading, you can either catch me while I'm on live doing readings, or you can book on my website. If cards do decide to come out, I'm gonna do a collective message just to close out the YouTube live, and then I may stay on TikTok live after and do personal readings if y'all are interested. But right now it seems like maybe there's no cards coming out. So maybe I'm just meant to close out this YouTube live. So let's go ahead and do that. So I think we're gonna call these talks Omnispectives with Nefersoul. So quick little soft launch, but yes, y'all. For those of you tuning in on YouTube, I appreciate y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed this conversation. We'll definitely be having way more conversations as time goes on. So definitely turn on your post notifications so y'all can catch me when I'm on here. And if you are catching this recording, I appreciate you for getting this far. So enjoy the rest of your day. Hope